Welcome to the InStory show. I'm Devorah Spilman, your host, and our theme this season is what does it mean to expand into a new story? And how do you stop hiding your spiritual gifts and dare to be seen for who you really are by saying yes to your soul and telling your story? So today I'm thrilled to welcome Kiala Givehand. Hi, Kiala.
Hello, Devorah. Hi, everyone.
So before we dive in, I'm going to read a little bit about you. Kiala Givehand is a dynamic force in the realm of creativity. She blends poetry and writing with astrology, tarot, human design, and soul collage in an effort to support mystics, seekers, and healers as they learn to embrace life more fully and intentionally by excavating their stories and unleashing their creative potential. Kyla facilitates journeys of deep inner work, radical transformation, and potent healing through sacred remembering and storytelling. Her expertise extends beyond writing and creativity. She is also an archetypal and alchemical astrologer, a quantum human design specialist, an Amherst writers and artist certified facilitator, and co-creator of the LifeAlchemy Academy and the Sacred Maker's Soul Retreat with her yogi husband, Damon. So awesome. All right, my dear, just like everybody else, I would love for you to say a little bit about what does expanding into a new story mean to you?
Mm, Listen, I think I'm always expanding into a new story. I feel like that is the story of my life. So first of all, thank you again for having me. Expanding into a new story, for me, I hear transformation and transitions. I hear, to me, that's what it means to be a mystic. That's why I call myself a mystic. I think we're always stepping into the mystery in maybe in hopes of expanding into a new version of who we are. I think that that's why I call myself a mystic, but I also am a seeker. I'm always looking for new ways to know myself on a deeper level, and that has been everything from journaling and writing to poetry to astrology and human design and all the things you've named from my bio. And so I think in this season of my life, this current season, and the kids are now saying in this era of my life, I am embracing what it means to be a menopausal woman, what it means to be in that very beautiful, honored place, sacred place in the female journey. And so that big if anything's going to expand us, y'all, it's that. That is, that's an expansive experience in and of itself. And I think in past generations, that has been a time of shrinking, a time of, not being seen, not being heard, sort of uh, not wanting to be around people, even for all the many changes that your body is going through that maybe you can or cannot explain or understand or fully embrace. And I think now expanding is actually what's happening with a lot of women. We're talking about it more publicly. We are not afraid to say this is the part of my life cycle that I'm in right now. We're not shrinking back from it. We're not hiding it or talking about it or not talking about it at all. Which I think my mother, when I went to her, I was like, "Why did you not prepare me for this?" She was like, "Don't talk about it. It's not something. I mean, everybody goes through it. You just handle it." And I'm like, I need a conversation. So I think it's expanding is honoring life cycles. That's a big part of it for me. And there are life cycles, not just with the body, but mentally, spiritually, emotionally, energetically, financially, like all of the things. We're constantly in these different cycles. And I think if we really are in them as seekers, as mystics, as curious minds, we're expanding. So.
Right. And I think what's beautiful about that is it illustrates sort of the choice to be contracted by it or expanded by something.
Mhm. Exactly.
Right. And what I think is starting to happen is we're becoming able to look at things like going through menopause and say, oh, how is this expanding me? Whereas
Mhm.
you're saying your mother was like, whatever. Right.
Just like you just keep moving. Don't even talk about it.
Yeah. And, and I find like I'm already on the other side. And then there's really these openings of
Mhm.
being, what I call like after something.
Mhm.
whether it's after your children graduate, after menopause, after you retire, after care, there's these phases that come after something. So like you said, there's these cycles that we go through. And so I'm feeling this sense of that potential in noticing what are you after,
Yeah. I love that. I
right?
love that. Oh, yes, because it flows into this idea of what are you going after, right? And I love that too. Thank you for that, Devorah. Thank you.
Yeah. So I would love if you would tell us, a couple of turning point moments that have really made you be able, like, how did you know you were a mystic? I don't know what you want to tell first, but I love when
Yeah.
someone says they're a mystic. Like, I don't quite say I'm a mystic, but I'm like, well, and so
Well,
I just love that you say that about yourself, but that's probably not what you always said about
no, it
yourself.
definitely is not what I've always said. But again, it's that expanding, right? It's expanding knowledge, learning more, and going, oh my goodness, I identify with this so much. Let me dig further there to see how closely matched I am to this thing or that thing. It took me years to call myself a writer and a poet. I mean, I was published poet and still would not say to someone when they say, what do you do? I would not say I'm a poet. Like it took me years to expand into that label and to be able to say it and truly feel it, own it, and let it be my truth. So I think I'll start at the point of now and maybe work back, because for me, what it means to be a mystic means I'm listening. My inner ear and my ear are both listening for the mystery, right? Looking and seeking for a greater truth, a bigger truth, a capital T truth, alongside my little t truth. It is, I don't know, for me, it's not just about what I find in the literature, the information that's out there, but it's what I find after I've consumed that information, what I find in the silence, when I'm sitting with it, when I am processing it. I know we like to talk about processing things, and when people say they're processing, I often wonder, what are they actually doing? What does that mean for them? For me, what processing means is I'm sitting with it in silence. I'm not trying to do something, learning it, listening to it, and then also doing. I have to give myself time to, there has to be an exhale. For me, the inhale is the breathing it all in, taking it all in. The exhale is the sitting in silence with it, allowing for some synchronicities, allowing my body to tell me what I'm feeling about something, how it's landing for me. So for me, I think I've been a mystic way longer than I've called myself a mystic, because it's not so much about the title or the identity. I think I say it now because I want people to understand that this is not a fad for me. This is a devotion. I'm devoted to a path, and that path is a path of seeking and curiosity. It is, I study the stars. I listen to what they're saying. I look at the charts. I pay attention. I read what ancients have left for me so that I can get to know myself better, but also so I can get to know the world better, because we are creatures of pattern and habit. And we are just repeating patterns over and over and over again. This is where archetypal astrology and archetypal psychology and even archetypes in literature is, because we notice patterns in ourselves, things that we just keep living over and over again. So for me, I'm not chasing any answer necessarily. I'm really trying to, as a mystic, I'm trying to live in a space of self inquiry all the time, soul tending all the time. I'm
Mhm,
listening to my soul. I'm listening to um, what is resonating with me and what's making sense. And when it's not making sense, then I'm asking questions
mhm.
and I'm
Right.
trying to find answers, but I'm not looking for answers out there. I believe as humans, we all have every single answer to every single question we could ever have. It lives in here, but we just don't spend enough time being quiet enough to hear it? So I walk with the questions. I don't assume that anything is a certainty. I just believe that The mundane is actually where the magic lives. Everybody's out here looking for magic. And I'm like, the magic is actually in the ordinary tasks that you do every day. It's in the day-to-day living. Your life is sacred. So you don't have to seek the sacred out there. The sacred is here. And so I feel like that's a big part of what my journey has been.
Mhm.
Learning to trust my intuition, even when my logical mind is telling me something else. Learning to trust my intuition. I'm a very woo-woo skeptic kind of person. I'm like, I see that's working, but why is that working? I don't know. Like I still have that. But above all, I still trust my intuition over everything else, even when logic tells me something else, right? I read signs, I pay attention to my dreams, I listen to conversations, I listen for synchronicities. I believe that every single person I come in contact with, there's a reason that our paths have crossed. It's not happenstance, it's not accident, it's not coincidence, right? And so I'm always holding space for that to be true, for our interaction here right now today, meeting for the first time. There's something magical here. There's something that is meant to happen between the two of us. And maybe it's not big fireworks kind of thing. And I think people are always looking for that, the big fireworks. I'm like, sometimes it's just in a word that a person says, and you go, oh my gosh, that thing I read 2 months ago now all of a sudden makes sense because of
Right.
something you may have said, right? It can be that simple. And so I'm always holding space
Yeah.
for that. I'm holding space for connections to be exactly what they are, connections, not just a miss, but we are connecting for a reason, right? So I use tools. I have a lot of tools that I use as a mystic that help me hone my intuition, trust it more, know it, feel it, embody what it means to be a seeker, a creative, a mystic, a healer. And so my tools are tarot, astrology, journaling is a really big part of it, soul collage. All of these things help me deepen my presence with
Right.
myself. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love this, and I think this is a description of what expanding into new story is. And I would love if you can share like what it was like before you told anybody about this. Like a
Mm,
lot of
mhm,
times, what happens to women is that they have all this, like you said, I was a mystic before I told anyone I was a mystic,
mhm,
kind of thing.
mhm,
I would
mhm.
love to hear like a little bit of your journey to owning this aspect of yourself, because I think a lot of times what happens is women have this part, then they shut it down to survive their life in some way. And at some point, something happens where they choose to have it back.
Yeah.
So is there like, if you're willing to share like a little bit of your journey with us and what happened, I think
Yeah.
we inspire each other by those stories.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think that the best way I can describe it is I've always had an inner knowing, even as a child. Okay. And I know a lot of people talk about, when they were little, they had this and that and that. I'm not saying when I was 2 years old or 3 years old, but in my teens, sort of early teens and forward, I could sense things. I could sense things. I could feel something was about to happen. I dreamt things and they would happen. I had this, right? I didn't have a name for it. I
But
didn't
did
tell
you tell
anybody.
your
I
parents?
was going to say, I didn't tell anybody about it,
That's the thing.
right?
Right?
I also it didn't frighten me. I wasn't afraid of it. I think in retrospect, I just thought it was what happens. Everybody's everybody's experiencing it. It's not. So to me, it wasn't something to go talk to someone about because that's happening to everybody dreams and then the thing they dreamt comes true, or they, right? So it did not dawn on me for it to be a conversation or to be afraid of it or to do anything special with it. Like it just didn't. Fast forward, like you said, life pulls us in a direction and requires of us maybe to turn that part off or to ignore it or to not give it the time and attention it needs because we all have it in varying degrees and in different ways. We all have what we call the clairs, right? We all have something. You can just sense an energy in the room, or you hear something, or right? We all have these things, but we ignore them, or we don't give them any sort of credence, and we don't cultivate them, right? So I'm going to fast forward in my life pretty significantly to getting in a car accident. And I cannot describe it, but it was 4 lanes of traffic in the middle of a day on a very busy Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Florida interstate. 18-wheelers, people going to work. I mean, it was massive traffic. I still don't know to this day if someone hit me or if my tire exploded and it sent me, but it sent me spinning in 4 lanes of traffic. Not a single car hit me, not a single car touched me.
Wow.
Not, and I hit the pylons that are in the middle, and that's what stopped my car. I was very disoriented. The airbags came out, it was a whole thing. Very disoriented, all I remember really is one woman saying, are you okay? Can you say your name? Can you tell us what your name is? And I remember a lot of cloudy smoke. And I remember a woman saying, somebody needs to call 911. And I just remember hearing a bunch of voices. And then the next thing I know, I wake up and I'm in the hospital and my husband is there. That's really all I can remember. 10 minutes later, officer comes in and he says, I'm so sorry for your loss. But I do need to just ask you some questions about the accident. And my husband goes, I think you have the wrong room. No one in this accident died. So there's no loss. And he was like, well, he was like, are you the rodeo, the Burgundy? And named our car. And we were like, yes. He said, I just left that accident. There's no way a person lived. No one lived in that. There's no way. And he's
Wow.
like, I've seen a lot of accidents in my life. There's no way someone lived. And in that moment, I hadn't seen my car. I hadn't seen, and I didn't have any, and I didn't feel like I was hurt in any, like I felt like I could just get up and go and leave the hospital and I was fine. No broken bones. No, I mean, I had like a bruise on my arm, which I still have a little scar from the airbags, but there was nothing else, right? So the next day, we go to see the car where they took it, and I have no idea how I got out of that car. I mean, the steering wheel and the seat were like this together. I don't know how I was ejected from the car. I have no idea what happened, how I was not. And it was in that moment that I went, oh, I think I almost died. Was this like a wake up call? What just happened? And so you talked about turning points. That was a turning point for me. Up until that point, I had I had a very beautiful life. Things were wonderful. It was amazing. I didn't have any I mean, I had the things that people have as humans, I got the same bills everybody else had. I had regular life things. But the one thing that I knew is that I kept saying I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to write, I wanted to publish. I just kept naming that as a thing, as the thing. I had done all the other things I said I wanted to do, became a teacher, got my master's, did a 3rd degree, and like I had done all these things. And that next day, I went into my garage. I had a stack of envelopes for the previous 5 or 6 years. I had filled out applications to get an MFA and never sent them off. And I just had a pile of them I mean, literally sealed up, stamps on them, the check in there to pay for the fee, because at that time you weren't paying online, you weren't applying online. Everything was in the mail, in an envelope sent off. And I had a stack of them, 3 and 4 schools a year I was planning to send off to, and fear would stop me. I'd be like, you know what? I'm probably not good enough. They only let 10 or 12 people in a year. Never mind, never mind, never mind. I did that year after year after year for like 6 years.
Wow.
After that accident, I was like, no more. I'm sending it in. I'm doing it. And that was a big turning point for me, because it literally changed the trajectory of my life from that moment. And
Powerful.
I mean, there was some recovery time in there. I did have a little bit of trauma from I was afraid to get in a car for 18 months. I was afraid to drive for like 2 years. There were some other things that sort of happened in there. Um, but I finally sent that thing off and got into the school that the first choice school that I wanted, and did that. And that act of doing it scared, doing it changed the trajectory of my life. And I think from that point forward, everybody, when they would hear the story about the accident, they would just be like, oh my goodness, you were covered. Oh, something was protecting you. Oh, like they all had their version of what was happening. And the one thing that just stuck with me is I didn't get saved to just keep doing what I had been doing. This was a wake-up call. This was a moment, right? And so I think that set me on a path
Hmm.
that was no longer about ignoring the unseen.
Right.
Something kept me alive in there. Like I don't, whatever, God, source, universe, whatever you want to call it, angels, you can name it what you want to name it. But it was in that moment when I went, okay, there's something bigger at play here, and I got to pay attention, and I can't keep ignoring it, and I can't keep shrinking, shrinking, shrinking. So that was a big turning point for
Wow.
me. And I have to say, I won't tell the whole second story, but I'll just say there was a second moment where universe, God, source, angels was like, you are not listening. You're taking too long. Yeah. Because I got afraid to drive, so I wouldn't get in the car. I got afraid to do, and fast forward, I had another medical thing happen that was also the doctors coming out to my mother and my husband and saying, she's alive, but barely. We almost lost her in there, and wheeling me out, and my husband almost dropping to his knees because I was blue and he thought I was dead. So I'm like, those two incidents were maybe not even 2 years apart, not even two
Wow.
years apart. And so at that point is when I got my butt in gear. I sent off that that thing, and my whole life changed from that point forward. And it has been every single step since then has led me to this conversation with you.
Thank you for sharing that with us. And I always say, like, if you've had a story like that, I'm so glad you're here and that you're doing your thing. If you haven't had a story like that, I pray you never have to have one, and
Mm,
that you and all of us figure out from each other to how do we take these expansive steps? How do we come out of hiding before we have to get slammed?
yeah.
Right? Like, that's the thing. Like, these stories are for those of us who needed a slam up the side of the head. And
Hmm.
but not everybody needs to have that. And we're
No.
coming into a time where there are much more of us who are already saying yes. We can also find each other now. When in those days it was much harder to find
Hmm.
other. We couldn't find our community. So now you can find me, you can find Kyla, and you don't have to do this alone. So
Exactly.
lead us up into a little bit about how Soul Collage came into
Oh,
your life. And, you know, like that, those stories are so important because if you watching can say yes to your soul now while things are okay, that's a
yeah.
good idea.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, Devorah, it's another soul collage for me is another story of the universe going, you're not listening. Hello.
Why?
Like
What
it sort of
happened?
tapping me on the head. So fast forward, I am in Oakland, California. I'm doing my MFA. I'm in the last semester of my MFA. And a dear friend of mine, this was the second year we had gone to this book festival that they have in Berkeley every year. And it's a bunch of writers and people giving workshops and breakout sessions, and it's really amazing and fabulous. And I go and I'm like, I'm doing all the poetry ones. I already got my little schedule planned out. And my friend is like, I want you to go to this soul collage one with me. I was like, I'm not here for that. I'm here for the writing and the poets and the poetry. I'm not doing that. And she gives me her little pouty face and she's like, please, please go with me. So I break down and I go to the soul collage thing. I am reluctant times 10. Resistant. I go in deciding it's going to be horrible. I'm going to hate it. It's not going to be good. This thing isn't going to work for me. Whatever it is this lady's trying to do, no, I had already decided. And so I go in and it's short. It's like a 90-minute session. And for those of you who aren't familiar with SoulCollage, you can only truly get, it's like not even, it's like someone brings out a plate of appetizers and you get half of a half of the half that's there. Like you don't even get, that's what 90 minutes can get you really with SoulCollage. Um, and so we go through this process and let's just fast forward and say at the end of it, I have a card in my hand that I've made and I'm in tears. And I'm looking at my friend going, what just happened? What is this? What are we doing? Okay, so I did it. It was a fun experience. I cried. I had a lot of feelings. A lot of stuff came up for me. And then I went on and I did the poetry things. And I never looked back at SoulCollage. A year later, for my birthday, that same friend gives me a book, SoulCollage Evolving. I'm like, why do you keep bringing the SoulCollage stuff to me? I don't want this stuff. And she's like, I don't know. I thought you liked it. I thought you liked the thing we did. And I was like, I forgot all about that. Fast forward even more. We're moving. We're leaving Oakland 4 or 5 years later. We're leaving Oakland. We're putting books in boxes to figure out, and we're making a pile over here of books we're going to give away. I put the SoulCollage Evolving book in that pile to give away. We move out, we move across the country from California to Georgia. We're unpacking boxes. And there's this SoulCollage book. And I'm like, how did this book get it was supposed to go over there, Goodwill, where it was not meant to come with me. And there it is. So that made me go, okay, universe, I'm listening. Clearly, you're trying to tell me something. So I started doing a little research on SoulCollage and who is this and what is this and why do I care? And fast forward, I found a person who was teaching it online. Well, she wasn't teaching online, but she had these videos that she was talking about. Her name's Catherine Anderson. And she had a video and she had, and somehow we ended up connected and I reached out to her and I asked her to come teach a thing. And fast forward, I ended up like down a rabbit hole about SoulCollage. Actually, I'm leaving a little bit out, but I did take 2 or 3 in-person workshops in California before. So there's a little sprinkling of it, right? Anyway, I meet Catherine. Catherine's like, you got to come be a facilitator. I go, I take the facilitator training. And fast forward to today, I am a practitioner, a facilitator, and I am now also a trainer. I train people to become facilitators of the method. But the thing that is the funniest thing about all of this is I kept having to get this like nudge from the universe, like, you're not listening. You're not listening again. We're trying to tell you something. Pay attention.
Stubborn, huh?
Right, very, very stubborn. And then what happened is um in 2018, we had what I called the year of death. We had 18 different people in a year within a year in our family and friend circle pass away. And this was before COVID. This was before 2020 when, and if it were not for SoulCollage, I truly feel that that year would have broken me. I would have been broken by that year. And it was not just working with my cards, but the community of SoulCollage, the other practitioners, other people who are doing this work and working with these cards, really showing me how these cards can be soul tending, is what Sina, the creator of SoulCollage, what she calls it, soul tending. And so these cards, I won't put the pressure of saying they saved me. I will say they saw me, met me where I was, and helped me shift my life and shift how I thought about death, how I thought about life, how I thought about relationships and what's important in the world. And so they were a constant companion through that year of losing so many people and traveling to so many, sitting in so many hospitals and being at so many funerals and dealing with so many, all the things that come with death and grief and all the things. And so it really was, it also, these cards have helped me see that wisdom is not about age. Wisdom comes with lived experience. And they have, they're not just, some people talk about SoulCollage as a creative practice. For me, this is a sacred way of writing my own life story through image, through symbol, through voice. It really helps me understand who I am on a deeper level. I love tarot. I love oracle cards. They have a thing they do for me too, but this is different. This is a living, evolving autobiography of my soul. And I can't
Wow.
describe it any other way. It honors everything about me, the good, the bad, the ugly, all my life transitions, all my memories, all my dreams. This little deck is like my sacred identity. And I can't say enough good things about this method and about this work. So for me, again,
All right, so
so
tell us about your free gift because they're going to get to
yeah.
dive into it. That's so, I mean, seriously, it's such an impactful story about something that seems one way and turns out to be the opposite. Like,
Yeah.
we think we're so smart, right? It's like,
We do. And universe is like, you're not even going to recognize the package that your transformation comes in. You're not going to recognize it's not going to be familiar because I just kept brushing it off in
I
so
know.
many ways.
I
Yeah,
just
so many
love
ways.
that. All right, tell us a little bit about your free gift because it's all about soul collage.
Yes, so I have a 10-day, what I'm calling a 10-day introduction challenge. And so it's literally, it's an email, it's kind of like an email class in a way. I'm basically sending you one email a day for 10 days that is going to walk you through not just the process of making a card, but also the process of using one card or more if you decide to make more, which I hope you will. Um, of using them for your own personal daily devotion or daily practices or just a way to connect in with your soul every single day. These cards have also really helped me hone my intuition and cultivate a relationship with my intuition. And so the gift that I'm giving you is in service of maybe doing that for you as well. Yeah.
Beautiful. Oh my gosh. Kyla, thank you so much. Leave us with the last thought or two as we wrap up.
Oh, life is a really big, heavy thing. And also it gets to be super sacred and fun. I think the thing that I try to bring to all of my classes, courses, retreats, conversations is I'm an everyday regular, what I consider just like a regular everyday person, but I live a very extraordinary life because I choose it to be,
Mhm.
right? Not because anybody else has deemed it that, but I wake up and I let the mundane be magical. I let doing my laundry be a magical, sacred act. I let, sitting down and paying my bills be a magical act. I choose to see magic and I choose to let the drudgery of life, I choose to infuse magic into it. So I think the last thing I'll just sort of impart is step into the mystery. Step into the mystery. Let the mundane be magical.
Let the mundane be magical. I love that. I often say, look for the extraordinary and the ordinary. It's the same idea. Let the mundane be magical. I
Yeah.
love that. Grab her free gift, go through it. I'm going to do it. I'm looking forward to it. And share if you want to what you get from the experience in our InStory World Facebook group. Reach out to Kyla if you want to dive deeper. And thank you, Kyla. And as I always say in farewell, remember to go out in the world, share your story, live your purpose, and be a blessing. Bye,
Mhm.
folks.
Hi, thank you.